guest this evening is an incredibly talented musician. When I first heard her voice, I immediately perked up, which is true. She fronted the band Leave Earth and has a solo project called Pray Tell. We did a written interview over a month ago, and I'm so excited that she found time in her schedule to join me tonight. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts virtual studio, Leah Ingram. Leah.
Hi. I'm switching my camera over here.
There you are. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. How are things over in your neck of the woods in terms of and we've kind of talked about this during the pandemic, and obviously things have opened up a little bit. So can you kind of talk about that time capsule in terms of where you're located with the pandemic and everything?
Yeah. So everything closed down around like mid-March. I actually had started my first day at work in my new job at a salon that day, and it was the first day we opened, or the first day that I was there, and then it was the last day we could be open. So my first day was also my last day for quite some time, and that was March 18th, and then we reopened on May 15th. So it's, for me personally, it was like a solid 3-month gap in between working, and everything was pretty much shut down. You know, you see masks, you see people, wiping stuff down at grocery stores. So my husband and I saw a lot of each other and a lot of the grocery store. But besides that, yeah, we didn't really get to do much of anything. Oops. So yeah, it was definitely, it was weird. It was kind of weird because, you get so used to a daily routine, and then it gets kind of like, a wrench thrown in it. And that was, yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the same thing out here. And I think for a lot of people watching this, it's that same feeling of like you had, like you just said, a routine, and then it all kind of went out the window and you had to adjust to something that you're not necessarily used to. And we're still adjusting to it because it's not over by any means.
Right.
And then you had the civil unrest and the protesting going on, which is still going on. And here in Seattle, we have this whole thing. I just found out this morning that we're like on the national news because of the whole Capitol Hill autonomous zone that's been that took over Capitol Hill. Yeah, and that's become almost like a go-to spot. And unfortunately, for some of the wrong reasons, it become like a photo op for some people. Hey, it's like a cool place to go. Let's go check out the Ches, area, or Taz area. And instead of realizing that so many people protested for so many days and dealt with tear gas and rubber bullets and all this other kind of stuff to get to that point. And so it's like, are you there for the right reasons? Or you're just there to kind of, stick something on social media. Hey, look at me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that I know personally that were going to protests and getting tear gas and all this different stuff. And it's crazy to see all of it happening. And oh my gosh, I wanted to go to we had a lot of stuff actually going on here. I've got really bad issues with my eyes recently, and I was like, if I got tear gas, I don't know what would happen. I don't have health insurance. So it's like the stupidest story, but there were a couple of times that we talked about going, and it just wasn't. It wasn't like a great idea because of everything that I've had going on with that, because you can do goggles, you can do lots of other things. So I've just been doing my stuff in the background, sort of sharing things, donating to things, all that different stuff. But yeah, it was crazy that after everything was said and done with the coronavirus, they were starting to, open everything back up, and I got to go back to work. And then, the state was putting curfews in place because of the peaceful protesting. So it was like, as soon as we got the chance where everybody was able to start kind of going out and doing stuff, it all kind of came back towards, we had to be back inside by a certain time anyway. So yeah, it's been a lot of crazy changes.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm actually very similar to you. I don't have an issue with my eyes, but I do have a compromised immune system. So part of me is like, I would like to be out there, but I also know, the brain saying, no, don't be a part of that. I can't risk myself.
Right. And you never know, with the coronavirus still going around, it's been really difficult to decide, like, is it okay to be around people? I have asthma, so I know that I'm a little bit more susceptible to things if, corona was a thing, or the tear gas itself. I mean, it makes it really difficult to breathe. So I was like, I feel like I'm like this weak little creature that can't like I can't step out in the sunlight. I'm like this pale little thing. I'm like, I gotta stay in the dark.
No, I mean, everyone understands that you're doing the right things for your health, and and like you just said, you're doing other things to contribute in other ways, and that's really what it comes down to. And even like I've talked with other guests, it's taking the time to even listen to people, to rethink how you do your processes towards anything, and those are the steps in the right direction. So everyone's doing their part.
Yeah.
But hey, let's kind of talk about your music, since that's what brought me to you. It seems like we go back a long time, but we only go back 2 months.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so your music background, it sounds like you have quite a bit of things going on in your background before you start getting into with leavearth, your band that you were a part of. So can you speak to your early background? What was young Leah like, and how you got involved with music and the arts?
So I've always been very outspoken. I'm the youngest child. I like to be the center of attention. And it's always been kind of the thing that drove me, I think, towards like wanting to be on stage in front of people, things like that. I've always been like front and center. I'm the kind of person that, like, when I'm really, really driven to do something, I will do pretty much anything to learn what I need to learn. And so when I was a kid, I actually took piano lessons at like maybe 5 or 6. And the teacher basically told my parents it was somebody that, we knew. And she told them, she's like, yeah, she's doing pretty well, blah, blah, blah. But, her fingers, her hands are really small. I've always been a very small person. I'm only 5'2". But even as a young child, very small, I wasn't able to play, and they took me out of it. But I continued to learn by ear, kind of on my own time throughout the years. And that was sort of a tool that I used. My piano was to kind of sing and play. And so now with covers and with everything else, I try to incorporate that into it. I've been singing kind of forever. I grew up, my dad was in bands. And so I was always just, singing with headphones on, singing in the shower, doing all this stuff. And, everybody's parents, they go, oh, you're so good. You should this, and this. So when my parents said that stuff, I was like, you have to say that. I didn't really think much of it. It wasn't until I got into about, I don't know, maybe like 6th grade, when they were doing all the little, checking to see what you wanted to do in middle school. They were checking to see like, okay, do you want to do art? Do you want to do, um, orchestra? Do you want to do band? Do you want to sing? Whatever. And I actually opted for art. And my sister is kind of an art prodigy. She's amazing, and she is 4 years older than me. So I had all these teachers that were like, well, your sister's just so much, I had all these giant shoes to fill. And I was like, you know what? I like singing. I can do choir. And so the next year, I spent 1 year doing art, and then the next year, I switched to choir, and I never looked back. It was just like crazy, hearing other people singing around me, and then me singing. And I never thought for a minute like I would stick out over the crowd, but I had a director that I actually had from that moment when I started up until I graduated high school. And she was just amazing. And she literally just like, one day there was a solo in something. She picked me out and she said, okay, you're going to sing this. And I was so nervous to even sing in front of just that classroom full of people. But I was like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, and this is something that I want to be good at and I want to do, that was a really hard moment to overcome, is just singing in front of a group of people at all. And I remember after doing it, people came up to me and they said, I had no idea. I had no idea you were so good. And I didn't have any idea I was so good, pretty much. So somebody said something to me. So that was kind of how I got started into everything. I did show choir in high school, some super nerdy. And it was some of the best, friends I had made were in, those groups of people. And as I continued through high school, I did a lot of vocal performance, and I went on to do about 3 semesters ish at Cleveland State University, as a vocal major, vocal performance opera major. And just kind of decided it wasn't really for me, it wasn't the kind of music I was really driven to do. I had a passion for it and I was good at it, but it was just, I wanted something a little bit different for myself. And I ventured out, I found my bandmates, and, you know, I took basically a leave of absence from doing school to be doing tours. I was switching over to audio engineering. Actually, I bought all this stuff. I bought a computer to start learning it, and then tours kept getting in the way. So as soon as one semester would start, you know, there was like a fall semester starting like 3 days into my tour. And so already then I would have been behind. And so it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And so I never actually even got started into that. And the band really took over as the driving force of like what I was doing on a daily basis. My Alexa is going, Alexa, stop. It said, give the cat medicine. I made a reminder. Every day our cat has to get medicine at 9 in the morning and 9 at night, or it doesn't matter as long as it's 12 hours apart. But he's outside right now, so we'll have to give it to him when we're all finished. But yeah, long story short, that's kind of like from childhood to now, how I kind of have progressed.
Okay. And like I mentioned, your band was called LEAVEarth. And how long was that band from kind of beginning to end? Well, kind of, as you mentioned, your end was kind of more like it just kind of naturally found a way to stop. How long of a period of time was that?
So in 2011 is when I kind of like meet them and figure out like, oh, okay, like we could get together, we could try to make, you know, this happen, kind of a thing. So 2011 is when I met them and started just going to practices. I don't think we played an actual show together until 2012, because it was probably like November 2011, October, November, that I met them. And then, yeah, we started playing shows in like the spring, summer of 2012. And we started off as a band called Visionaries, and we progressed, went on to make big changes, and there was a lot of history behind that name, and we decided, you know, we wanted to kind of rebrand and create kind of a new entity and a new face for ourselves, and we became LEAVEarth. And then it became a lot more serious, and we continued on for a couple of years doing it under that name, touring, and we were signed to a label. And that was up until about 2 years ago was our last show. 2 years ago, and well, we just passed 2 years, so April. We played a show 2 years ago, and we released a song in January of last year, 2019, 2018. Oh my gosh. It feels like it's been so long. And so that was kind of the last stuff that we've really done as a group. So collectively, it's been the better part of like 8-9 years, you know, that we were, you know, involved in active.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys really spent a long time plugging away at it, trying to make the dream happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think it started off, I mean, we always kind of said like it was like everybody was in it till the, you know, we couldn't be in it anymore. We wanted to, you know, go as far as we could with it. And, you know, they're my best friends in the whole world. And we were just, it was like, you know, the best times of my life. It was crazy, you know, getting to do all that crazy stuff with people that I, you know, loved like a family. And yeah, it was really wild ride. And it was a long, wild ride. And I'm grateful to have had that much time, you know, to have been doing it.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I want to make sure that I'm being mindful of the time. And so for everybody out there, Leah's got this amazing YouTube channel where she has different cover songs and uploads on it. And we're going to take the next like 3.5 minutes or so to play one of these songs, which is Never Enough from the Great Showman, The Greatest Showman?
The Greatest Showman.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Which is one of the tunes that I've listened to repeatedly, but we're going to talk about that after we play it. So for the Alice folks down in LA, if you could do your coworkers know about your music background at the salon?
I have one coworker that I actually went to hair school with, and she does know because we went to school together, and a lot of the people I went to school with found out in some way, shape, or form, because they'll just, like, every now and then I'll just have somebody come up and they'll go, so I creeped on your Facebook and I found this music stuff. And it's just so funny because I guess, yeah, there are a lot of people that don't know, I guess, like, that I do it. And a lot of it has to do with, how often I post stuff. So I'm sure the next time I post something musical, now that I've got a lot of my coworkers following me on Instagram and stuff, I have a whole separate Instagram for hair related things. But it's funny because I'm like, I don't know, maybe they know, maybe they have no idea.
Excuse me. I was just thinking that, well, one, if I was living in your local area, well, and two, if I had hair, but that if you worked on it, I would pay you like, an extra $50 just to have you sing while you worked on my hair. Kind of a thing. But
yeah, and I've definitely, like I've mentioned, because a lot of what you do when you're working on people is you just chit chat. You talk about, oh, like have you been to this place? A lot of people talk about places that they've been, or especially with this pandemic, it's like you're touching just more on like, oh, not like what's been going on in your life recently, because most of us have had the same kind of experience where we had to be stuck at home. And it's been, more so like, okay, like you just talk about your life. And it's funny because they call us therapists because, we listen to people talk about just their lives and different stuff and where they've been. And so when they talk about where they've been, a lot of me talking about traveling goes back to me touring. And so, people go, well, what do you mean tour? And go, well, I was in the band for, probably 8 or 9 years. And, we used to travel around and play shows. And some people they'll just go, oh, that's interesting. And some people just go, well, what was it? What kind of music? And what did you sound like? And yeah, some people are really interested in it. And then some people, they just kind of are like, that's weird.
No, that makes sense. I remember those days when I had hair and sitting in a chair, just like what you said. Yeah, you're just talking with your normal person, your regular person, and catching up and seeing what's going on, and they're just listening to their clients, and sometimes that exchange goes back and forth, and yeah, for sure. And so, like that particular clip that we played of Never Enough, where was the audio recorded?
So I actually I'm married to a producer engineer, like extravaganza. He does all of it. Like I'm very, very fortunate to have a studio quite literally in my backyard. So we have Capitol House Studio is here in Columbus, Ohio. It's on our property. It's a whole separate building, a whole separate entity from our house, but it's actually like one sidewalk away. So it's awesome to literally have a professional recording studio, and I have an engineer, I have a producer, and somebody that works on everything that I do very diligently. And luckily I can yell at him, because if I don't like how something comes out, I can just go, no, we gotta fix this. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. He laughs because we'll do a million takes of something and he'll think we have the perfect take, and I'm like, no, I can do it better. And he gets so impatient sometimes because he'll be like, are you sure? Like, I really think this is fine. And I just am very meticulous about how I do stuff. So I'm very lucky. He's so patient. And he is very, very talented. He has a wonderful, wonderful gift and a super great ear. And he is super helpful with that stuff. So anytime, and especially after days he's working, he records bands and he records solo acts and all that different stuff. So on days that, like, he might have been working all day, and then sometimes I'll just be like, do you want to do something with me? Can we go in and record something? And, some nights we're out there till, midnight or beyond, because we're just like chipping away at something. And, he's probably so tired of music in general. He probably did it all day, but he'll stay out there with me and just like let me go. And I'm really, really grateful to have the relationship I do, and the opportunity that I do to have all of this at my expense. And like I said, very literally like in my backyard.
Oh, that's amazing. And for those watching out there, if you're on the Twitch stream, I did put Leah's YouTube channel in the chat, and I also put your Pray Tell page from Facebook in the chat. So if you're looking to keep up with her and follow her with everything she's got going on, we're coming to the end of this. I've kind of figured out why these things seem to be like I could talk for another 30 minutes or an hour, but I'm not going to get into that right now since I'm running out of time. But thank you so much, Leah, for taking the time. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And like I've mentioned to you before, please don't stop in any capacity. Please keep doing some level of music, because your voice needs to be out there. It needs to be heard. And I think some of the people that just heard, I think the people that just heard you right now are nodding their head like this in agreement, like, we need more from this lady. So stay safe over there and take care. And hopefully by the time we get to a point where, live events are happening and everything else, maybe we can actually do a part 2 of this and kind of see where you're at with things. So, All right. Take care. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.